Hey, welcome to the C's, part one of the C's. I have maybe like 14 records by artists with C, so to try to keep these each episode, under 20 minutes, I decided to split this up into two. We're going to start with two records by The Call. The first one is Reconciled. This came out in 1986. I think that's probably when I first heard of them. Their biggest tune at that time, I think, was I Still Believe. It's been covered by a few people. I just remember hearing Everywhere I Go and really liking that. I picked this up at the Groove Shop, which I spoke about in another episode. It's a store that was in Norfolk, Virginia, where I was working for a while. Unfortunately, Michael Bean, the lead singer, and probably wrote most of the stuff, he passed away in 2010. He was doing like sound, his son's band, and he was doing like sound for them. They were on the road, and he had a heart attack backstage and unfortunately passed away. But he had a really, really good voice, kind of like one of those voices that almost doesn't sound like it belongs in rock music or something, like he should be singing like opera or something. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. The other record I have by them, I have a few of their CDs, but this is all I have for them for vinyl. This one is called Into the Woods. This came out in 87. This came out after Reconciled. Again, I got this at the Groove Shop in Norfolk during their like going out of business sale. Got it pretty cheap, maybe for $5. This one I didn't really know any songs from, like I knew their more popular stuff, and this record I didn't really know, but I picked it up again. I liked the band, and it didn't have a ton of their stuff, and it was cheap. But I put it on, and I just really remember digging it a lot. It's like one of those things where you almost was like, wow, I wish I had picked this up back in the day. I was more aware of their body of work. Tune I really dig on here is I Don't Wanna. It just reminds me of one of those songs that just kind of like just builds and builds. It goes on. I don't know how long it is off the top of my head. Yeah, it's like one of those 5-minute songs, and it just, kind of just builds and builds. I always thought it was a really cool song, but again, The Call, worth checking out. And now we have the Jim Carroll Band, Catholic Boy. Again, like The Call, I picked this up at the Groove Shop in Norfolk. I think I got it pretty cheap. I knew of Jim Carroll. The only thing on here that I knew was People Who Died. That was all I knew by him completely. And again, I probably got it during their going out of business sale, so I probably got it $5 or something like that, and just was like, why not? Let's take a chance on it, see what it's like. And So it's a really good record. I mean, kind of that came out in 1980, I think. Yeah, 1980. He was a writer. His famous novels, The Basketball Diaries. And then I think I remember reading that like Patti Smith actually kind of pushed him to start a band or whatever. So he unfortunately passed in 2009. He had kind of a lot of troubles with drugs and, kind of got beyond that, but had some issues later in life with some, I think, hepatitis or something. But this is a really good record. I mean, it's kind of maybe garage rock, kind of like early kind of alternative sort of sound. I guess new wave, it would kind of fit into that category too. People Who Died is on here. The song that I really like, I Want the Angel, is a really good tune. But I like I said, I had really no idea what this was going to be like when I picked it up, and was very surprised how much I enjoyed it. A really good album. Ended up picking it up on CD, so I could put it on like my iPhone and everything as well after the fact. But good record, worth checking out. Jim Carroll Band, Catholic Boy. Next record I got, I don't even know what I can add to the conversation about this, but it's the Cars' debut album, 1978, self-titled. I was just talking to somebody recently about this record. It's like a perfect record. I mean, it's one of those ones where you just listen to it, and it's just song after song. It almost just feels like it's a greatest hits record. It could be, Good Times Roll, Best Friend's Girl, Just What I Need, Moving in Stereo, Bye Bye Love. I mean, just song after song. It's like you're listening to a greatest hits record. Apparently the band are not crazy about this album cover. It seems very Cars-like now in hindsight, but I guess the record company really wanted this, and David Robinson, who's the drummer, he was responsible for a lot of the artwork on their records, and he had something, it's a different design in mind that felt like better represented the band. But I guess, record company chose otherwise. They ended up using what he created for the inner sleeve of the album. But again, I mean, it's just a perfect record all the way around, rock, new wave. I picked this up at Holdfast in Asbury Park. Always find really good deals there. They've got a lot of, a good selection, and probably got this pretty cheap, but worth it. It's one of those records I feel like everybody should have a copy of that. And next up, I got another record by the Cars, Heartbeat City. This came out in '84. And in the mid '80s, there, like, everybody was releasing like, before that, I think maybe an album would release like 2 singles or something like that, more or less. Probably Michael Jackson kind of changed that whole field with Thriller, but mid '80s, it was like everybody. I mean, Madonna, Prince, Bruce Springsteen, they would put out 4 or 5 singles from an album. And this one was, certainly no different. Had, I think, 5 singles released from it. And this is a really good album. I think this is the first record they switched. They've been working with the same producer the whole time. They ended up working with Mutt Lange on this, who had kind of really hit it big with the Pyromania Def Leppard album. And he worked with them on this. Just a great record. Everything got so much radio airplay that maybe it feels a little, like you've kind of are a little sick of hearing all these songs, but they're all so great. I mean, You Might Think, Magic, Drive, Hello Again. Just really good record. I really love this record. When I first got it, I picked it up on cassette, and it was interesting because my cassette had the song Heartbeat City. The title track was actually listed as being called Jackie. And I guess that was like an early title for that song, but then they changed it. So like those early pressings of the vinyl and the cassette listed it as Jackie, and then later it became they changed it to Heartbeat City. I found this record a few years ago at a record show in Ithaca, New York. I was up there working, went to this record show one weekend, and found this, and got it for like $7, I think, and it was still sealed, wasn't even opened, and it's in great condition. Was shocked to find that. They've since reissued all their stuff, their early stuff. They've reissued this. I think it's got a few bonus tracks on there. And I'm sure that one probably sounds better than this, but I didn't really feel the need to upgrade necessarily, but I really like this album. I love the album cover too, from a painting called Artomatic Loop-de-Loop by this artist, Peter Phillips, I think is his name. And I always thought this would have been, like, back then I always wanted this as like a poster, like not the Cars part, but just the painting part. Like, I thought it'd be cool, painting. I remember even in high school trying to like do my own version of this. He's got a couple of other pieces of art that are similar in vein to this, but I always thought that was a cool album cover. This is like a gatefold, so it folds out, so you get the whole album cover like that. And for some reason, the reissue, they changed this like maroon color to white. I don't know what the thought process was behind that. Next up, I've got Future Former Self by Chapo. I first became aware of this band, their previous record, Moonwater. I think I used to get emails from certain record companies that would send me free songs, and I'm pretty sure that's how I came across these guys. The record company sent me just like 10 free songs or whatever, and one of theirs was in there, and I just really liked it, and I picked up their last record, Moonwater. And then when this came out, I picked this up at School Kids in North Carolina. Probably got it on sale or something, because I don't think I knew this record, and I'm not sure I would pay like full price not knowing what I was getting into here. But it's a good record. I like these guys. Kind of, they're from Brooklyn. I guess it's kind of like psychedelic, kind of indie rock sort of sound. They put out another record after this, but I haven't heard that yet. But I like these guys. They're really good. Chapo, future former self. And finally, we have Charlie Bliss, Guppy. I think this is their first full-length record. I think they put a few EPs out before that. The way I discovered this band was the AV Club. I think they still do it. They had a series where they would have a band, like a newer band, cover an old song, and I guess they'd make a list of a handful of songs, and they'd let the bands choose which one. And Charlie Bliss was on there. They covered "Steal My Sunshine" by Len back in the early 2000s, I guess. And the AV Club was really touting this band, and the lead singer's voice is kind of high-pitched, I guess is the best way to describe it. And I really didn't like it. Something about it I just did not like. But as the days went on after I heard it, I couldn't get it out of my head. Like, I just kept thinking about it, and it just started like growing on me, and I kind of went from really disliking it to really liking it. And I kind of checked out some of their other stuff, and I liked what I was hearing. And I picked this up at Spin Me Round in New Jersey. Now they're in Pennsylvania. They just recently moved. A lot of good deals at that place. Was just picking up a lot of CDs, and then just decided, let me check the vinyl, because I think at the time I was kind of easing off vinyl a bit. And so I went digging through, and I found this, and just kind of was like, let me take a crack at it. I think Percolator was the one track that I really knew from this. I really like this album. It really grew on me. This band grew on me. They put out a new record, I think, last year called Young Enough. I went and saw them live twice. I saw them in Asbury Park at the Wonder Bar, and then I saw them at, I want to say, Bowery Ballroom. Great shows, great live show. If you get a chance to check them out, see them live. They put on a really good show. That is Charlie Bliss. A weird thing was, I've never seen it, but I guess to promote this, they put out like a comic book or something that related to some of the songs. It'd be cool to kind of check that out. But that was an interesting way to promote a record. And I also read that I guess there was different artwork originally for this, but it was copyrighted by the Los Angeles Times, so they couldn't use it. So they ended up using this picture of these goldfish. Charlie Bliss, check them out. Newish band, really good energy. Kind of poppy, alternative rock sound. Worth checking out. So that's it for the C's part 1, but I'm going to do another with the rest of my C collection. So that's it for now, and thanks for watching. Subscribe and all that stuff. Let me know. I'd love to hear what you think of some of these records, if you know them or aware of them. Keep watching. Stay safe and healthy. See you next time.